When we talk about family, most people immediately think of parents, children, maybe siblings. But family is much more than biology. It shapes our confidence, our emotional life, our identity, and how we communicate with others. Let's start with a well-known example. Brenda Villa's story. So Brenda Villa is one of the greatest water polo players in history, an Olympic gold medalist, a world champion, and NCAA Women's Player of the Year. But when people ask her how she became so strong and confident, she doesn't brag about training or talent. Instead, she says, I get my confidence and swagger from my mom. She supports me, but she's also unafraid to tell me when I'm not being humble. This story shows that family shapes not only our success, but also our values and character. Even elite athletes are influenced daily by their parents' communication, expectations, and emotional support. Family relationships are powerful but complicated. Research shows something interesting. One day, a dad said the biggest source of stress was family. The next day, they say their greatest joy was also family. This tells us family relationships are emotionally intense. They can lift us up, but they can also challenge us. Many students know this firsthand. Maybe your family supports you when you succeed, but also pressures you about grades, dating, or identity. This emotional closeness is part of what makes family unique. The idea of a traditional mom, dad, and kids family is no longer the most common. In 1970, about 40% of U.S. households fit that description. By 2010, only 20% did. And among those families, only the small portion still had a stay-at-home parent. Why is the change? Because there are more divorce and remarriage, smaller households, more blended families with step-parents and step-siblings, couples living together without a marriage as well. If you think about your classmates, many of them don't come from a traditional nuclear family. Their families might include step-parents, half-siblings, grandparents raising children, or parents living in different homes. This doesn't make the family less real, just different. So, how to define a family? What is a family, you would ask? Instead of focusing only on biology, scholars define family as a network of people who create a sense of home, share a collective identity, a common history, and a shared future. Let's break down what that really means. First, family identity through communication. Families develop a sense of who we are through the way they talk. For example, some families joke and tease a lot. Some families are very formal and serious. Some talk freely about emotions, others avoid them. Even conflict styles matter. In some homes, disagreements are loud and passionate. In others, people go silent. Those communication patterns create the family's identity. Think of the difference between a family that says, we always stick together, versus a family that says, everyone handles their own problems. Same biology, but totally different identity. Second, how to set boundaries. Family also draw boundaries between us and the outside world. For example, don't talk about family problems to others. In this family, we all eat dinner together. Or the opposite, some families welcome neighbors, friends, and community members, calling them aunt or uncle, even without blood ties. Some families keep secrets to protect themselves, reputation, or privacy. Others are open and share everything. These boundaries affect trust, comfort, and how safe people feel at home. Third, emotional bonds. They can be intense and complex. Family emotions are very powerful. You might feel love and frustration at the same time. Many students know this experience. You love your brother, but he annoys you. You appreciate your parents, but you also fight with them. You may feel grateful for support, but also pressured by expectations. Sociologists say family touches our deepest emotional layers because these relationships last a lifetime. Even small arguments can hurt more because they come from the people closest to us. Fourth, shared history and future. Families share memories, sometimes good, sometimes painful. For example, a family might tell the same funny stories at every holiday, or avoid talking about a past conflict. Some families keep traditions from their culture or religion. Others may feel disconnected from their heritage. Our shared history shapes what we expect from each other. If your family has always been close, you expect weekly phone calls. If your family has been distant and conflict-heavy, you may grow up more guarded. Families also expect to stay in each other's lives, whether that feels comforting or overwhelming. Fifth, shared genetic material. Genes influence appearance, personality, and even communication habits. We all heard someone say, "You have your father's stubbornness. You laugh just like your mother. Your temper is exactly like your grandmother's." Studies suggest traits like shyness, confidence, or impulsiveness can be partly genetic. This explains why siblings may act similarly, even if they grew up differently. Sixth, multiple roles. In one family, you might be a daughter or son, a sibling, a cousin, a grandchild, a caretaker, a student, a role model for younger relatives. Each role comes with different expectations and sometimes they clash. For example, your parents want you to study, your younger sibling wants you to play with them, your grandparents want you to visit, you want time for yourself. This balancing act makes communication complicated. Now let's talk about types of families. How many types are there? As society changes, family structures do too. The first and most traditional well-known structure is called nuclear family. Parents and biologically or adopted children, which is pretty common 60 years ago, but now is a minority. The second type is called extended family. Aunts, uncles, siblings, grandparents living together or living very close to each other. Third, step families, formed through remarriage. Almost half of U.S. marriages involve a remarried partner. Fourth, cohabiting couples, two romantic partners living together without marriage. Fifth, single-parent families, one adult raising children alone, often due to divorce, separation, or death. In the U.S., about 1 in 4 children live in single-parent homes. Sixth, voluntary kin family, no legal or blood relationship, but emotionally bonded, like a chosen family or close friends. For example, LGBT plus individuals who build supportive families outside biology. Seventh, convenience families, temporary families formed through shared circumstances. For example, people living together in rehab or military training who treat each other like family, but separate later. Each family is a system. When one person changes, the whole system reacts. One part of family system is privacy rules, what you can talk about and what you cannot. Some secrets are harmless. A grandmother's secret recipe, keeping college applications private, while others are more serious, changing a last name to avoid discrimination, hiding conflict or trauma from outsiders. These secrets protect people, but they can also create stress, shame, or distance. How to improve family communication? 2 simple practices. Respect boundaries. Don't force people to share more than what they want. Second, practice safe secrets. If a secret could hurt someone emotionally, mentally, or physically even, it should be discussed, not buried. Families look very different today, but all families, traditional or blended, biological or chosen, share something powerful. They shape who we are through communication, boundaries, emotions, history, and genetics. Families' relationships change how we think, love, argue, and grow. In different cultural contexts, the types of families can differ as well. For example, the nuclear family that we talked about, in many South Korean or Japanese cities, high cost of living makes families smaller. Or extended families. In China and India, it's very common. Grandparents often live with the children to help raise grandchildren. In Middle East, large multi-family households are common, with strong religious and cultural ties. And in Latin America, cousins, aunts, and uncles visit frequently and help raise children as well. And also like cohabiting couples. This is increasing in Europe, Canada, and parts of East Asia as well. In Sweden and Norway, cohabitation is very normal and socially accepted. In more conservative cultures, couples may hide this arrangement from their parents. And also, single-parent family. In Jamaica and Haiti, grandmothers and aunts often help raise children in single-mother household. And in China, 留守儿童, which is also called left behind children, may be raised by one parent or by grandparents while others work in big cities. The voluntary kin type of family that we talked about. In West Africa, friends often call each other brother or sister, sharing responsibilities and care. So each culture has a different way of expressing love, conflict, communication, and responsibility. But all families share something powerful. They help shape who we are. Even though family relationships can be stressful, they also create belonging, identity, memory, and support. Understanding how families work across cultures helps us become more empathetic, more patient, and better communicators with the people we love.